In 2009, Bitcoin was worth less than a penny. A decade later, a single tweet could crash entire financial ecosystems. Fast forward to 2022, over $3.8 billion was stolen from crypto platforms, most of it not by professional hackers, but by anonymous coders exploiting flaws hidden deep in smart contracts. And what you're about to hear is the wildest of them all. Jay lived in a cramped one-bedroom apartment in Tallinn, Estonia, the kind of place where the Wi-Fi was strong, but the heating system barely worked. He didn't mind. He didn't get out much anyway. His life was a cycle of energy drinks, black coffee, and blue light. 24 years old, self-taught, and socially invisible, Jay didn't care about parties, vacations, or even money. He cared about one thing: breaking things online, not maliciously, at least, but for the fun of it. Jay could find flaws in financial systems like a bloodhound sniffs out trails, government sites, obscure codebases, even smart contracts buried deep in decentralized finance platforms. He wasn't in it for fame or chaos, he was in it for the puzzle, for the thrill of spotting the one missing semicolon that could unravel millions. 10 hours a day, sometimes more, he would dig into code just for the satisfaction of saying, "Gotcha." No one really knew him, not in real life but online. That's where he came alive. Bob, on the other hand, was loud, not in voice, but in energy. He lived in a tiny house in Tampa, Florida, surrounded by reminders of what he used to be. There was a Rolex he couldn't bring himself to sell, even though it hadn't worked in months, an empty wine fridge, a dusty Lambo hat he got when he hit $1.2 million during the 2021 crypto bull run. Those were the good days, before he bet it all on a meme coin that tanked faster than it rose. Now, Bob was broke, not just financially, but mentally. He had tried everything: trading bots, copy trading influencers, even launching a scam coin called Pugcoin. Nothing really worked. Still, he wasn't ready to give up. He hung around the corners of the internet that most people didn't even know existed. He was searching for something, a way out, a miracle. That's when he found the Discord server. It was called Decentralized Finance Undone, a dimly lit chat room full of ego, speculation, and theoretical hacks that no one had the brains, or balls, to try. Most users talked about a big game. Some say they could totally break Uniswap if they wanted to. Another would share diagrams of theoretical exploits that were laughably impossible. Then, one day, Jay dropped a bombshell. No warning, no hype, just a clean, cold paste of code into the general chat. A smart contract vulnerability so subtle, so surgical, it made even the most arrogant users shut up for a full 5 minutes. The chat was silent. Bob's eyes widened as he read it. He didn't understand all of it, but he knew enough to know this wasn't theory, this was real. And he opened a private message and typed one-line text. "Have you ever thought about actually using that?" There was a pause, a long one before Jay responded. His response was, "You mean like trying it for real?" And just like that, two strangers, one that was broken by bad bets, and the other bored by brilliance, found something dangerous in common. And that's when it all started. Ethervault is a growing crypto platform. It wasn't a household name, but in the right circles, it was a rising star, a slick DeFi protocol promising instant yield farming with adaptive liquidity layers. To the average investor, it sounded like wizardry, but to Jay, it sounded like bait which he has been watching for months. The platform was flashy, aggressively marketed, backed by influencers, and flooded with liquidity. But Jay didn't care about the hype, he cared about the code. And Ethervault's code was almost perfect, almost. Tucked away inside their smart contracts were two tiny flaws. On their own, they seemed harmless, almost laughable. The first was a reentrancy vulnerability, a classic mistake, like leaving your front door unlocked while telling everyone you've got a home security system. The second was worse. It is an unchecked logic in their flash loan module. Jay didn't scream "Eureka" when he found it. He didn't need to. He knew what he was looking at. It was like spotting a tiny crack in a dam, and knowing the right tap would flood the valley. He showed it to Bob on a private call, screen sharing the lines of code like he was reading off a treasure map. Bob leaned forward, eyes locked on, and he asked, "So if we route the flash loan through 3 wrapped tokens, trigger a recursive call, and cancel the gas limit, then we break the protocol's accounting in real time?" That was the moment they stopped theorizing and they started building. For 3 days, the two of them barely slept. Jay wrote the exploit logic in raw solidity, stitching together the flash loan manipulation with the reentrancy bug like a master surgeon performing digital heart surgery. Bob handled the infrastructure, wallet routing, gas optimizations, fallback recovery, his crypto scars giving him a paranoid edge that Jay admired. They worked in silence for long stretches, occasionally trading voice messages that sounded more like military comms than two guys on Discord. On the third night, Jay uploaded the final script to a test wallet and paused. "Are you ready to test it?" he asked. Bob's voice crackled through the headset saying, "Do it." Here's the crazy part. They didn't test it on some sandbox or private platform. They deployed it directly on Ethervault's own testnet, the one open to developers, the one monitored by the platform itself. They ran the exploit. The bot drained mock liquidity, spoofed token balances, and rerouted assets to dummy wallets with surgical precision. The console flashed green with one word displayed: successful. And no one, not a single person from Ethervault, noticed. Jay leaned back in his chair, letting out a long breath. "That's insane." Bob laughed. "We just robbed a fake bank in broad daylight, and nobody even looked up." They sat there for a moment, letting the silence fill the space between them. Jay finally said, "If this works on the mainnet like it did here, then it's not a hack, it's history." They weren't ready to pull the trigger yet, but they both knew the button was built. While the rest of the world slept, servers idling, traders offline, gas fees whisper low, two guys on opposite sides of the globe were about to make history. They didn't wear black hoodies, no sunglasses at night, no shady vans parked outside. This wasn't a movie, this was real life, and their weapon wasn't a weapon at all. It was just lines of code. Bob was in his garage in Florida, sitting in a $40 camping chair with two empty energy drink cans at his feet. He had just finished stringing together a VPN chain that jumped across 4 continents, Brazil to Germany to Japan to Iceland, then back to the States. It was the digital equivalent of wearing gloves over gloves. Jay is half a world away, sat tucked into a dusty corner of a public library in Tallinn, Estonia. He was on a burner laptop that cost less than a pair of sneakers, no personal logins, no browser history, no trace, just a raw command line and a script that could shake an entire crypto ecosystem. The attack wallet is funded with just $50 worth of Ethereum. That was all they needed to ignite a $100 million crypto storm. "Are you ready?" Jay typed into their private Discord voice channel. "Hit it," Bob replied, steady as ever. One line of code. Bob pressed enter and the internet trembled. Within seconds, the bot came alive. Step 1. The smart contract requested a $200 million flash loan, an insane amount of temporary liquidity borrowed from a DeFi pool, repayable within the same transaction. Step 2. The funds splintered, jumping through multiple liquidity pools like a digital pinball, wrapping and unwrapping tokens at lightning speed. Step 3. The exploit kicked in, re-entrancy triggered, recursive calls looping inside the contract, each one subtly misreporting the protocol's token balances. Ethervault's system looked at the numbers and smiled. To its code, it seemed like there was more money than ever, a jackpot of surplus liquidity. And so, like it was programmed to do, it started payouts, real tokens, not fake ones. The smart contract never saw the con, and in under 10 minutes, $100 million had been siphoned out of the platform and into their pre-routed wallets, all without a blip. The network didn't even register a gas spike, not a red flag in sight, but they were not done. The funds were washed through a fake NFT marketplace they had coded from scratch 2 weeks earlier. Nothing flashy, no real users. Just a handful of pixelated squirrel images uploaded to the blockchain. Each JPEG sold for $12 million. To wallets they controlled, an imaginary art auction turned into real, untraceable crypto. Jay watched the final transaction confirm and leaned back in his chair. The library was dead silent. Somewhere nearby, a janitor vacuumed the hallway, so he whispered, "We actually did it." Bob's voice came through, barely a murmur. "We just stole $100 million, in 10 minutes. Exactly 53 minutes after the exploit was executed, Ethervault platform started trending on Twitter. At first it was confused users asking why withdrawals weren't going through, a few crypto sleuths posting on-chain transaction IDs that looked off. Then came the panic news. $100 million missing, drained or gone. By the 2-hour mark, it was everywhere. Crypto news sites, Reddit threads, even the big national TV in the States had a segment with a flashing headline, "Decentralized Heist. DeFi platform loses $100 million in overnight breach." The Ethervault founders scrambled to do damage control. hopping on an emergency Twitter space filled with anxious investors and blockchain developers demanding answers. They blamed it on state-sponsored actors, throwing out buzzwords like quantum-level obfuscation and zero-day flash vector injection. None of it meant anything, but it sounded serious. Meanwhile, Jay and Bob were on Discord, in a voice chat playing Minecraft. Jay had just finished building a replica of the Ethervault logo out of obsidian blocks. Bob was laughing and he said to Jay, "Dude, they said it was some Russian dude's work." Jay replied jokingly, "Or North Korea, but I'm not sure they play Minecraft there in codes on $80 laptops." Then Jay got an idea. He opened his email client and typed a single message to Ethervault support inbox, with the subject, "You're welcome," and a body text that says, "We are ethical hackers, pay us $5 million in Ethereum, and we'll explain everything, no gimmicks, no threats, just knowledge." Email sender, J and B. They waited, no reply, so Bob took it to the next level. He launched a YouTube channel under a fake alias. His first video was a meme-style explainer titled, "How I Accidentally Hacked $100 Million Playing with Squirrels." It featured pixelated squirrels doing backflips over smart contracts, and Bob narrating in a voice-modulated tone that sounded like a drunk robot. The video went viral, 1 million views in 48 hours. The comments were pure chaos. "This is the Ocean's 11 of DeFi. Not all heroes wear suits, some wear hoodies and play Minecraft. Bro really used JPEG squirrels to launder millions, I'm crying." And then, just as the hype reached a fever pitch, Jay made the final move. They sent back $80 million. No strings attached, no public demands, just a transaction labeled, "Not about the money, fix your code." Sender, J and B. The crypto community lost it. Some called them criminals, others called them legends, but most called them heroes. Twitter rebranded the event as the Robin Hood hack. Podcasts debated whether it was ethical vigilantism or digital theft. Crypto influencers changed their profile pictures to pixelated squirrels. Jay and Bob are still on Minecraft, still anonymous. Jay said, "You realize we just hacked the unhackable, and then gave most of it back." Bob laughed and said, "Yeah, but admit it, this was way more fun than being rich." And somewhere, deep in the DeFi jungle, Ethervault's developers were rewriting their contracts, with a little more humility. Some steal for greed, others steal to prove a point. These two, they moved 100 million in silence, then gave almost everything back, so the noise would never stop.